from now until 1 o'clock, there'll be a tangible reminder here in the studio that this evening is Halloween, because I'm joined in the studio by a real live witch. Patricia Crowther's joining me. Welcome to the programme, Patricia.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. We'll be finding out in a minute if she's a black or a white witch and what she actually does. But first of all, it's no great coincidence that you're here on Halloween, Patricia, because it's a special night, isn't it?
Yes, Halloween is one of the old 4 cross-quarter dates, and they date right back to the Celtic calendar. And Halloween, of course, was the end of the old year and the beginning of the new year in those times. But it's still a very important date now because it is the Festival of the Dead, and it's sometimes known as Sown, which means summer's end. But it is a Festival of the Dead, and we give remembrance to the dead, and we pray to them, and we hope they're going to join us in spirit, as it were, on that night, on tonight actually.
If you don't mind me saying so, you look the least likely witch I think I've ever seen in my life.
I don't think so, because, an old church document, the Canon Episcopi, states quite clearly that beautiful young witches ride at night to meet Diana, the great mother goddess.
So you've got
They're
to be...
not always old, you see.
Not always old and warty.
No, you can be any age.
So you've got to be young and beautiful to be one.
No, not necessarily. You can be old and ugly, but...
It helps.
Anybody can be a witch.
Well, you've got a poem with you about Halloween, haven't you?
Yes,
Perhaps
I
we
have.
could set the scene for Halloween, and would you mind reading it for us?
As I say, it's called Sown, which means summer's end. Night of the dead, black crowded darkness forming the bridge, silent clamour of the returning horde, filling the night but no space. And we, hosts in our turn, greet in love the mighty dead. All is life on the feast of the dead, on Sown. The sword flashing candle glow salutes the guardians, forms the circle, builds again the castle. Bridges down we wait, welcoming, expectant, feeling again the surge as they cross, now with us again, the clan. Life force quickens on the feast of the dead, on Sown. Now fill the cup to drink in honour of our kin, ours by choice and right. To talk gravely, laugh merrily, as kinsmen will in kinship, keeping with them the ancient festival. Out of time is the time of the dead, is Sown. Born on no chill wind this merry crew, the dead and the lord of the dead, their rich warmth reaches the soul of us encumbered in flesh. Tonight we warm our cold clay at the fire of your caring. Tonight is the promise renewed, and our spirits drink the life force with our beloved dead. At the hour of the dead, on the eve of Sown.
Quite dramatic and quite frightening, isn't it?
I think it's very beautiful. It's a beautiful poem.
If you're listening to that at home and you're wondering quite what's going on, well, let me tell you, this evening is of course Halloween. I'm joined in the studio by a real live witch, Patricia Crowther, and in a minute or two we'll find out exactly what she does as a witch. But if you'd like to put 1 or 2 questions to her, you're very welcome. The number to ring, of course, Middlesbrough, 225511, and she's very approachable, I think. Right, Patricia, let's get down to some basics. How long? Yes. How long have you actually been a witch?
Well, I was initiated into the craft. It's called the craft, you see, and it's actually the priesthood of the old religion. I was initiated in 1960, and I became a high priestess of the craft after going through the 3 degrees, which is quite a long process. And I was then able to form my own coven. This happened rather as a mistake, really, because I was being interviewed by the local paper in Sheffield about Halloween, and the reporter said, "Would you like people to join you?" And I said, "Well, it would be rather nice." And the headlines in the paper that night was, "Witch seeks recruits for coven."
Well, that's the local paper
for you. It sort of initiated the first few people coming along to me. Of course, we never seek converts. This is the joke about it. We believe in people becoming individuals and thinking for themselves, you see.
When you say you were initiated, what did that actually involve?
Well, any initiation, any mystery tradition is for one reason only, and that's to make you realize that you have a soul, and that this soul has to be developed, probably through many lives, but it is a starting point. And in this case, it's within the framework of the craft, and we worship the Great Mother Goddess and the Horned God. These are the twin deities of Western Europe, and they go back to about 40,000 years BC. But the Great Mother Goddess is the chief deity. But that is what initiation is all about. When you're initiated, as in Masonry or any other mystery tradition, you are shown certain things and you are told to get on with it, you see. How do you pay for your ticket from this life to the next? You have to work for it. And this is what
things,
it's all about.
What things are you shown? Is it allowed to tell us the
Well, we are shown
intricate
certain
details?
implements which equate with the elements, really. And we have the magical knife, which equates with the air. It also equates with one's will and determination in working magic, for example. And we're shown the rod, which equates with fire, and also the energy of the person. And then the cup, which is equated with water, which is a loving vessel, you see. And we're drinking the horned cup to one another. It's like a communion cup. And also we're shown the pentacle, which symbolises earth, and has the pentacle of the craft etched upon it, and also the different degrees and so forth.
All this happens within a group of people then, a so-called coven?
Not necessarily. I was initiated by Dr. Gerald Gardner, and my husband was a great friend of his. And I was initiated by him, and then I initiated my husband afterwards, you see. Because a man initiates a woman, and a woman initiates a man.
So, do you think there was something within you which wanted to do this from the start?
Yes,
or
I've
was
always been looking for a religion in which the goddess, the feminine aspect, the feminine principle was worshipped, as well as the male. And I couldn't find this in the ordinary religions. So, of course, when I read about the craft, I read Robert Graves' book, The White Goddess, and various books by Gerald Gardner even, and of course I thought this is what I wanted. And rather extraordinarily, I met Arnold Crowther, who became my husband, and he actually knew Gerald Gardner.
When you say that in conventional religion the female isn't worshipped, what about the Virgin Mary? Surely she's an outstanding example of the female being at the heart.
She's an echo of the mother, the great goddess, the Mother Isis, as she was known, because people at that time, before Christianity, were accustomed to worship the feminine principle, and the goddess had thousands of names in every country, in every locale. And so they brought the Virgin Mary in as a feminine aspect, but it is not a feminine religion, it's a patriarchal religion. It was literally a changeover from one to the other at that time. And now we are coming back to equality, because you have to recognize that there is a feminine divinity as well as a masculine part. And these are personified by the god and the goddess, you see.
People listening will know something, a little bit about witchcraft, I think, and they'll know that there's black magic and there's white magic. Now, is magic actually what you deal with, and if so, which kind is your particular magic?
We don't deal with it all the time. I mean, we have meetings for divination, we have meetings for celebrating the festival of the year, and so on and so forth. But magic is a neutral force. It comes from the mind and the body, and so it can be used for both positive and negative reasons. But it's only a fool that would use it for negative reasons, because you're going to get it back on you, you see. Especially if you take your oath before your deity in any initiation. You say perfect love, perfect trust, and harm no one.
And
the
that
Witches'
sounds very
Creed
positive for good.
8 words the Witches' Creed fulfill. If it harm none, do what you will. And this does not mean do any old thing, but follow and perform your true will, you see.
Right, so what rituals do you actually take part in then?
Well, we have the 8 festivals of the year. These are aligned to the nature year, the spring festival, the summer, and so on and so forth. And we also have rituals every full moon, because it is supposed to be the maximum moon power comes forth at the full moon. And the moon is a symbol of the goddess. It is not the goddess, but it is a symbol of the goddess, the feminine principle again. And that's it. It's all connected with words, ritual rites, movements, and poetry, really. This is it, you see.
People listening might be tempted to think that you deal in spells and magic potions and so on. Now, is there any truth at all in that?
Spells is just spelling a thing out. So if you mean by spell, do we say, when we're working magic, talk about the thing? Yes, because we usually make up a rhyme about, say, it's somebody who's to be made well. Somebody called Betty, perhaps. And we say, Betty will be well soon, so mote it be, so mote it be. And the more simpler the jingle, the more it sinks into the subconscious mind, and you can concentrate on the person to be healed without too much trouble.
So you're sure that you can help people if they want it sufficiently?
Right. Yes, we've had about 80% results in the Sheffield Coven, and these ways, the old ways, do work. Otherwise, we wouldn't pursue them.
Well, in what kind of ways? Can you give me some examples? Obviously, Betty getting well, but what else? Yeah. What else?
Well,
illnesses.
All sorts of things. For the first 10 years of the Sheffield Coven, we did mostly illnesses, and we had a person, and we worked on him. He asked to be made well. He couldn't be operated on because he was in great pain at the time, and we worked for him and concentrated on him getting better. And he sort of sank into a deep sleep in which he saw a vision of 3 ladies. And when he awoke, he was quite recovered, refreshed, if you like, and they were able to perform the operation, and he was out within a week. And they still don't know how he became better again. You know how he recovered his health. And so another time, there was a friend of mine, she wanted a new flat. It's very sort of mundane thing, but of course it's necessary in life. And of course we set out to work for her, and while we were sort of concentrating on her achieving this, I saw this vision of this coffin, a black coffin. That's all I could see. And of course no one else saw this, and it was a mystery. But later on, we received a telephone call from her about a week later to say her husband had passed away, hence the symbol of the coffin, you see. And about 3 months later, she did indeed get a new flat, which was exactly as she wanted. But of course she was on her own.
Whereabouts do you meet as a group? You are from Sheffield, you've mentioned already. What particular places do you meet? And how many of you are there?
We meet in my home, which we have a temple in my home. And there are many different numbers of people. There's sometimes 7, sometimes 10. I mean, I could have hundreds of people, but it wouldn't be practical in a house. And of course, when the coven is 13, you cannot have more than 13, really. And of course, then the coven splits up and goes off on their own. Somebody else takes over if they've achieved the correct degree, and they start their own coven, you see.
It's a very booming business, isn't it, witchcraft? Perhaps business isn't the right way to describe
it. It's the old religion. I mean, the goddess, we've seen a renaissance of the return of the Great Mother Goddess since the 1950s.
Why do you think that is, then?
Well, it's rather strange, because this equated with the cycle of the moon. According to astrology, we were in the cycle of the moon for a period of 36 years. That was from 1945 to 1981. And in that time, we've seen the renaissance of the feminine principle, and we've also seen man actually landing on the moon, and we've also seen women's equality, equality for women, women's liberation. All this kind of thing has been enacted since that cycle and during that cycle, which is rather interesting, I think.
So men landing on the moon has surely messed things up a little bit for you.
Oh no, this is man's oldest dream, to go to the moon, and that's what he achieved.
But how does witchcraft fit in with landing on the moon?
Well, I'm just saying it was part of the moon cycle, you see. It was part of this cycle of the moon. It's nothing to do with an age. An age is about 2,000 years, and it equates with the sun slipping back into a previous sign of the zodiac, okay? And that's an actual manifestation, which is something which happens. And for the last 2,000 years, we've been in the age of Pisces, the fish. But now we're slipping back into the age of Aquarius, and that's about 2,000 years. But to get it on its feet, it'll be about 2080 before that happens. But lots of things are happening connected with Aquarius now, because that sign is the brotherhood of man.
Right, we'll investigate a little bit further into that in a minute. Patricia Crowther is with me in the studio, and it's from Sheffield, in fact. But in fact, spent some time in Whitby, and she's telling us all about witches and witchcraft. Of course, it's Halloween this evening. She's already explained the significance of that. If you'd like to join us on the phone line, you're very welcome. The number to ring, of course, Middlesbrough, 225511. Now, Patricia, before we go on, what is your Whitby connection? Because a lot of our listeners actually do live in Whitby, and everybody knows how nice Whitby is.
I'd like to say hello to all my friends in Whitby. I love Whitby, and I've had a cottage there since 1971, and I visit it as frequently as I can. I think it's an absolutely delightful place.
You didn't choose Whitby because of some of its, perhaps its sort of ghostly or spookier sides?
It's funny because Mummy said, where do you want to go for holiday? And I said, Whitby. I said, I don't know why, but I want to go to Whitby. It's not Whitley Bay, it's Whitby.
And when you got there, you found out why.
And that's how we found it, yes. And I said, that's beautiful. But of course, you do have the story of Dracula. Bram Stoker wrote Dracula at Whitby. And my cottage is very near to Tate Hill Pier, where Dracula landed, you see. And quite interesting. A lot of authors live in Whitby.
Do you find it
myself,
a good atmosphere there?
Oh,
You
marvellous
like it?
atmosphere. I went about 2 or 3 weeks ago, stayed for a week. I'm writing another book, and I was happily typing away there because it's so quiet and beautiful. You don't get all the busyness of a city. Of course, it's lovely.
Let's go on for a minute, because we've talked a little bit about witches and witchcraft, but there are certain objects and certain numbers which are invested with particular significance, aren't they?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Well, there's the number 13, which has come down to be an unlucky number. Everything connected with the craft was changed over from white to black, and this was during the persecution times. But 13 actually is a very sacred number, okay? You have 12 and a leader. It is a magical, very magical, sacred number. Romulus had 12 lictors, the founder of Rome. Charlemagne had his 12 paladins. Robin Hood has its 12 men. We have the jury, which is 12 in the law, with the judge as the leader here. And we have Jesus and his 12 disciples. And I think that's very interesting because, you know, it's always 12 and a leader. And there's also 12 signs of the zodiac with the unknown one in the centre.
What particular...
But it's not an unlucky number.
It's not unlucky?
No, it is not.
It can be lucky, can it?
It is a lucky number. It always has been. Everything's been changed over, you see.
What particular objects, then, would you, as a witch, invest with a certain kind of significance?
Objects?
I notice you're wearing a
the
necklace.
pentagram?
Yes.
Well, I'm wearing a pentagram because the pentagram is the sign of the craft. More especially, it is the pentagram, the 5-pointed star, with usually the upward pointing triangle above it. And this signifies the goal of the initiate, fully in charge of their senses and everything else, as a fully individualized human being. And that is one of the signs of the craft. Another sign is the what we call the goose foot, which is the three rods together. It's like a 3-pronged stick. And it's rather strange, this, because they use that the other way around for the nuclear disarmament.
Oh, of course, yes.
So they use it downward
stick.
pointing,
Yes,
but it is the old sign of the goose foot, which is a sign of the goddess herself, you see.
And
3 in 1, you see.
So that's got particular significance for you.
Yes, it has. And you see, Britannia, or Brigantia, holds the trident, and she is, of course, the great mother goddess. She is the goddess of these islands. This is the mother country. And the earliest laws of democracy were not from Greece, as has been taught in schools for yonks, but come from the ancient Britons who worshipped in the old religion. And 3 of their earliest laws was protection of the baby, protection of the old, and protection of the foreigner who cannot speak the British tongue. Even the Union flag, red, white, and dark blue, are the colours of the goddess. White for the Virgin, red for the Mother, and dark blue for the crone. And these are usually incorporated in all democratic countries, red, white, and blue.
Right, let me remind you at home, if you're listening, I'm talking a little bit to Patricia Crowther, who's a real live witch, comes from Sheffield, also based in Whitby occasionally, so some of you in Whitby might know of her, and she writes books about the subject as well. If you'd like to join us on the telephone lines, you're very welcome. The number to ring is Middlesbrough 225511, and joining us on exactly that number is Fred, who's ringing from Ormsby. Fred, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right, what question would you like to put to Patricia?
I would like to ask the young lady what her views are on Satan the devil.
Satan the devil? Well, we don't recognise the devil at all. This is a Christian invention. I know it's mentioned in the Bible about Satan, but in the Bible it says he was Lucifer. He was a fallen angel, the angel of light, in other words. But we do not believe in the devil, because why should we? We belong to an older religion, and we have the god and the goddess, and that's it. It's like any other religion, okay?
Yes.
It's like Buddhism or Hinduism or all the other religions. It's similar. But we have nothing to do with the devil, although he was acquainted with the craft during the persecution times, because that was a terrible time, because 9 million people, men, women and children, were tortured and burned in Western Europe, and also hanged, especially in England. But it was a time when they wanted to get rid of the old religion, and it was a turnover between the female to the male, the masculine religions. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Fred.
Fred.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Fred. Fred's silence there by your answer, Patricia. You can understand, though, why he thought that there might be a connection, because really witchcraft isn't very well presented, is it, in the media? Certainly nobody really understands what you're up to.
Certainly not in the media, and we can blame a lot of the Sunday papers for this. You know, they love it, and the people love to read it, let's face it. They'd rather read something about black magic and turning people into frogs and toads or whatever other horrible thing they do, than read about something which is objective and truthful, really.
I wouldn't suggest that there's any truth very much in something like the news of the world, but if that isn't the case, where do they get all these stories about sex rituals and sacrifices and so on?
You mean the lives of the saints, the news of the world, yes?
Well,
my friend used to call it,
yes. Where do all those stories come from? There must be some basis.
Yes, well, usually it's from someone who isn't in the craft, who has been refused and starts up on their own because they've been refused because they're not well-balanced people, they're not suitable to practice magic at all, and they start up on their own, and they may be a road sweeper or something like this, not very great intelligence, and they think it's very, very marvellous. Well, you know what I mean? I don't say road sweeper, but anybody, if you like, who hasn't got any great intelligence will start up on their own. I think it's marvellous to get their picture in the paper and something written about them. You know, they'll say anything.
It's certainly open to abuse.
Well, it is, because there's no central organisation and no central church or anything like that. Every coven is autonomous, and we're not in control of what other people do.
So as far as you know, covens all over the country are doing their own thing regardless?
Yes, well, I know a great many of them, and I know a great many are genuine. I know the genuine from the fake ones, if you like to put it that way, yes.
You've told us a lot about the sort of background and so on. Is this contained in any book anywhere? Because I did read about a book called The Book of Shadows. Now, do books called The Book of Shadows exist? And if so, what's in them?
Well, The Book of Shadows is the sacred book of the witches. They put in it all the rituals and their ways of working and perhaps poetry they like, all things that are passed on to them. Now, I was initiated by Dr. Gerald Gardner, so I received his tradition, okay? He came from the New Forest. He was initiated by a lady called Dorothy Clutterbuck in her big house in the New Forest in 1939. And then, just after I was initiated, I received letters from an old lady who saw me on television. She was staying in Durham, and she lived in Inverness. And she said, I think you're one of the genuine people, and I'm going to send you all the rituals that I have. My family was in the craft. But we only kept it within the craft. She was initiated by her grandmother, she said. And her grandmother, she said, was initiated by her own mother and father. And so she sent to me all the rituals and rites. And I used to write to the post office, care of the post office in Inverness, and she used to send the gardener down to collect the letters, because she was then living with Catholics in-laws who weren't very friendly. So she had to burn her book of shadows, you see. But she remembered. She sent all the things that she could remember. And there was a very close association between the rituals she sent to me and the ones that Gerald Gardner gave to me.
I thought the idea was that each book of shadows was burnt when the witch died.
Well, this is what I'm saying. She had to get rid of hers.
She did burn them.
She's comparatively later than the persecution times, but a lot of things were carried on orally. Everything of importance is never written down. It's always given orally, from mouth to ear, and in no other way.
You talked earlier, Patricia, about initiations being from a man to a woman, woman to a man.
Yes.
So surely there is a sexual connotation there somewhere. If not, why is that?
Well, I hope I'm a sexual female. I hope I'm a female of that nature. But that's only because we're men and women, aren't we? You know, and this is the custom. That's all. That is passed on from man to woman and woman to man. The power is passed down the ages, as it is said, in that way.
Now, you said a little bit earlier in answer to Fred from Ormsby that the witches have been persecuted, certainly in Western Europe, for the last, how long, 400 or so years?
Between the 15th and 17th century. Not only witches, just anybody they sort of grabbed hold of, you know, and even children were put on the fires. And, of course, then they had the Spanish Inquisition, which again was political, and people were tortured and put to death in that manner. It was really a horrific time to be alive, I should imagine. Even in England, we had Matthew Hopkins in Suffolk and Essex, and he started up as a witch finder general, you see, and he got rid of lots of old ladies by hanging them because they were very poor and didn't have much to say for themselves. He used to drag them out and sort of frighten them with all these big words, and they used to end up on the gallows. And he got a lot of money. It was a money-making concern. But luckily, he only lived for another year, 18 months after he started this. He just died of tuberculosis in Manningtree in Essex.
Essex was a real county for witches, wasn't it?
It was.
For witch hunting, then, probably
witch
because
hunting,
of him.
yes, there were witch hunters all over the place at that time. There was John Kincaid, he was up in Scotland, and there were witch hunters all over the place, and they knew they were onto a very good thing. People were very superstitious at that time. You know, usually it was, if a neighbour did something you didn't like, you could say, you know, she's bewitched me or something like that, you know, and they'd drag the poor creature out.
Of course, the established church was behind a lot of persecution, wasn't it?
I'm afraid it was, yes. It was very different from Christianity, the real Christianity, which is love thy neighbour as thyself, you know. Very different.
What's your relationship then with the church nowadays? Because they're still not keen at all on you, are they?
No, it doesn't matter what
For
they're keen
obvious
on.
reasons.
No, they've read about, they read every book that comes out on the craft, okay? And they know exactly what it's all about. But they pretend they don't know, and they simply say they worship the devil. And this is not so. This is not so at all. We worship the goddess consort, as I've said before. In the masculine sense.
You are some kind of threat to the established church, though, aren't you?
Not at all. We believe in every religion doing their own thing. We don't interfere with them if they don't interfere with us. There's no reason why we should. You know, we've never done it, persecuted anyone. We've just, you know, been alive and we've done our thing, and we've hoped for reincarnation and this sort of thing. And there's no horror in it at all, really. It's a very beautiful religion. If more people turned to it, I think they'd appreciate just what is involved and how wonderful it is. It is a good religion.
How many witches do you think there are at this present time in this country?
In this country? Well, the number seems to go up, but now we have people who are not interested in the craft so much, being initiated, as worshipping the forces of life themselves, and preservation of the earth. They're very interested in that. We have a magazine called Pipes of Pan, Pagans Against Nukes, you see, and they're very interested in preserving the earth and all that's on it. And they have their rituals. They sort of take over a wood or something and do their rituals and dance and sing, and they're very
That's
happy.
an offshoot, really. You'd see that as a
part of-
sideline.
And there's a lot of those people about, and a lot of vegetarians. I mean, my present husband, he's a vegetarian.
So
And,
it's all tangled up with vegetarianism,
Not tangled up.
ecology.
No, it's not tangled up. I think it's a very good thing that we should be around to save this earth if we can possibly do it. You know, it's a very difficult period of time we're living in at the moment, because from the sight of the moon, which I was talking about just now, we're now in the cycle of the sun, so said to be, according to astrology again, but it's for 36 years, that. And then we come to nuclear energy, you see, which is links with the sun. So the powers of the sun can be used for both positive and negative reasons. It's up to man himself what he does with them. It's rather strange it should link in that way.
So witchcraft isn't entirely rooted in the past. You do take on board new ideas like the nukes business and the ecology.
It's not new ideas. It's what people are trying to do to harm the earth, really. We're trying to preserve it, that's all. But
Still, the advent of nuclear weapons is a recent thing, isn't it?
Yes, but there you are. That's man for you. You know, he's always bent on destroying himself somewhere or other. But we live with any age. We're adaptable to any age because our rituals are based on truth. The religion is based on truth. Okay. And in ancient times, you know, the sacred place of the goddess was in a stable or a byre, with the animals all round her, especially in the Middle East this was so. And there was a statue of the goddess in front of the byre or the stable. In front of that was the gate of horn, which was a semicircle of blue stones, which opened into no temple made with hands, therefore a sacred place. And of course you can see this at Stonehenge. You can see the trilithon of little blue stones, the horseshoe shape, which is a very beautiful symbol, I think, of the afterworld and the spiritual things in themselves.
You're listening to On the Line, where it's 18 minutes now to 1 o'clock, and on Halloween day, or Halloween night, as we're coming up to, I'm joined in the studio by Patricia Crowther, who's a practising witch, and telling us all the ins and outs of witchcraft. And if you'd like to join us, there's still time, of course. You can put any questions that you have to her. She's here in the studio and very willing to answer all your questions. Middlesbrough 225511 is the number to ring. We've been finding out all sorts of things about witchcraft and witches in Britain. You've still time to have your say or to put a question to her. She's ready and willing to talk to you if you'd like to talk to her. The number to ring, of course, Middlesbrough 225511. And someone joining us on that number is Alan, who's joining us from Thornaby. Hello, Alan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Alan.
Nice to hear the truth for once.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I would like you to confirm, if you know this already,
Yes,
that the old religion,
yes.
which you rightly say lasted so long, will be re-established firmly in this world before the end of this century.
Yes.
You say, the time lapse of 2,000 years. It'll be established during that 2,000 years. And we shall go back to the old religion completely. And that will be a time of great happiness and peace throughout the whole of the world. There are only 2 popes left.
Yes. There are. Only 2.
Only 2. After these 2,
According to Nostradamus, that is.
it is.
Yes.
And I think his writings are very true.
They are. They've come true, haven't they?
Yes, everything's come
Most of them have come true, yes.
Yes.
Amazing, man.
And what is going to happen, I think, is going to be a great revelation. And this revelation will sweep away all existing religions.
Alan, I'm afraid the line isn't giving us very much joy, so perhaps we could have a few answers from Pat.
I don't think they'll sweep away all religions. I think every culture has its own religion and has its own approach to deity, whatever they see that deity to be. And I think we shall establish a good place in the future, I hope so, as a religion. But that's what I feel, but I don't know when that will be. It could be quite a long time from now. But I don't think we've done bad from 1950 to the present day. And we would have done a lot better if we hadn't been blackened so much in the Sunday press by idiots and people who are not of the craft. Would we not?
I agree with you completely on that.
Alan, are you
Thank you.
involved? You sound as if you're very well up on all this.
Well, I have studied quite a lot of it, yes.
Have I met you, Alan?
No, unfortunately, I wish
No.
I had.
I hope to meet you then someday.
I wish you could. What you call your religion is the old universal religion.
Yes, it is.
It embraced the whole of the world.
It did indeed, in some form, yes.
So you very definitely believe in it, Alan?
Absolutely.
Mm.
In the old days. This is going to come back.
Yes.
All this hypocrisy which we've been living in for the last 2,000 years.
We'll have to wait and see, Alan. But thanks a lot for joining us.
You're young enough to see it come.
Sorry?
I think you're quite young enough to see it come.
I don't know about... Oh, perhaps it means you... Does he mean you, Barbara?
I don't know, probably both of us. Thanks for the call anyway,
Thank
Alan.
you for ringing in, Alan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Blessed
Bye-bye
be.
now. Bye. Right, the next caller is calling from Norton, and it's John on the line. John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Pat.
Good afternoon, John.
2 questions, really.
Could I have one at a time, please?
Yes, you could. The first one is I have to attend court tomorrow for a fairly minor matter, but with one which is still causing me a little concern.
Yes.
The reason I'm ringing really is I wanted to find out if I performed the banishing ritual of the lesser pentagram, would that afford me some kind of protection tomorrow, or if not, could you actually give me some advice as to anything which I could probably do or undertake at this late stage in the day?
It just depends what it's about, the case, you see. I mean, you know more about it than I do. I don't know what the case is, or what it's about.
It's, as I say, it's fairly minor. It's basically with, to put it in a nutshell, the not keeping of bookwork when I was a director of a limited company.
Oh, yes.
It's fairly minor, but it's
Yes.
something which is causing me some concern. And I just really wanted to find out whether this ritual, in actual fact,
Yes.
would be a waste of time performing, or whether it would afford me some protection.
Yes. We never know. The judge might say, as he did in the Isle of Man, they say, not guilty, but don't do it again.
Yes.
No, but I think that would be very good to do the lesser pentagram, and I think if you invoke the forces to help you,
Yeah.
I think that would be good, and visualise each quarter, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Visualise the 4 elements,
Right.
and, really put yourself in the hot spot, as it were, and just see what happens.
There would be a specific time of day, would there, which it would be best to undertake this, or could I undertake this at any time of the day?
And you're going tomorrow, do you say?
Yeah.
It's very short notice, isn't it?
It is.
I think it would be better to do it tonight,
Yes.
on Halloween itself, I think.
Yes. The only other thing, actually, I wanted to just ask you quickly. I have a pack of tarot cards at present. I went out and bought 2 new sets yesterday.
Yes.
One of them was the Aleister Crowley pack.
Yes.
And I had a very unusual experience last night while actually going through the deck itself, looking at the various illustrations.
Oh, yes.
In as much as I was looking at one of the cards, I think it was number 7, the Chariot.
Yes.
Literally, while I was just looking at it, I actually felt my hand actually being drawn, or the actual card being drawn near to me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, although it may sound very, very stupid to listeners or yourself, but I actually felt as if the card was actually moving slightly, something that's never ever happened with any other tarot deck I've actually ever had. And I just wondered whether this was perhaps just my imagination.
I don't know, dear. Only you can tell me that. You know, this is it. Things happen to different people, and it's only themselves that know whether it's something, a supernatural occurrence or a sign or whatever. But you're not born under Cancer, are you?
No, I'm Taurus.
No, because it's the card of Cancer, that one, isn't it? The 7, the Chariot.
Yeah.
Actually, John, we've got an astrologer coming in tomorrow, so I suppose that might be too late for the court case.
Well,
Christine Lester Ford, yes, I've met her actually before.
Yes.
I think, yes. In actual fact, it probably is a little late for the court case tomorrow. I must admit, I was more interested in finding out whether the banishing ritual of the lesser pentagram was, in effect, would prove to be a waste of time. But as long as Patricia...
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, now you know, John.
Well, I don't know whether to ask you which form of magic you practiced, or which school, shall I say?
Well, it's white.
Yes. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Right, we'll have to leave it at that, John, because we've got people on the line waiting. But thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, John.
Well, bye.
Bye-bye. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Right, let's move on, because Margaret in Skelton is waiting to hear from us. Margaret, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Pat.
Good afternoon, Margaret, dear.
I'm ringing on behalf of a friend of mine who's very interested in this.
Yes.
And she has wrote of where, but she's never had no answer.
She's wrote where, dear?
Pardon? She has wrote letters, you know.
Where to?
I don't know, because she'll be at work, and I just thought, well, if you could help her in any way, if she
Yes.
could speak to you, you know.
Well, the thing is, if you write to someone who has written a book on the subject, and you know that book is genuine, or you feel it is, they usually write to the publisher, and the publisher passes it on to the author.
Oh,
That's one of the ways.
very interested, and she would like to join this religion, you know.
Yes.
And she has wrote, but she's never ever received an answer to her letters.
Well, if she would like to send me a stamped addressed envelope, I will write to her.
Oh, that'd be fine.
And I may find someone who lives... Where does she live? In the area?
Yes,
Does she live in this area?
yes.
Well, you know, I may find someone in this area. I don't at the moment, but you never know.
No.
And someone else could know someone else. Anyway, could you give me her address, or leave it with the studio, please?
Yes, if you
A bit
leave
later.
it.
Could I do that after the
And they will send it
Sure.
on to me.
Margaret, just give us a ring
Margaret.
back after the programme and leave that address, and then we'll make sure that Pat gets it.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, Margaret.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear.
Thanks for calling
Bye,
us.
love.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Pat, it's suggested by one or two of the callers that there are people around here, certainly quite a few of them actually taking up some of the ideas in witchcraft and perhaps even practicing witches. That would be the case then, wouldn't it, from your experience? One or two of the people who phoned are very well up
but
on...
I mean, not everyone comes out into the open. You know, this is it. Some people just prefer to practice on their own, and that's it. And but we think that, myself in particular, thinks that if it's a good religion, it's about time somebody knew about it, and to dispel all the misconceptions over the years that has been happening about it.
And
which
of
is
course
very
that's
bad.
partly why you're here. But if somebody out there feels sort of slightly isolated, how would they get in contact with local people who were interested in the same way?
It's a bit difficult, but there are pagan magazines. There are magazines out, and really it's a case of writing to one of those and putting a little advert in it. But it's very dicey. You've got to be sure that it's a genuine person. This is what I want to be sure, people to be sure of, you see. Because there's so many people about who are not genuine. It's like anything else. There's good and bad in all religions, isn't there not? And I don't want them to get into the wrong hands, as it were. It takes a long time to be initiated, probably 18 months. So if you're going to be asked to be initiated, somebody says, I'll do it in a week or fortnight, you know they're not genuine, you see. The people are not genuine.
How long does it take on
I have to say
average?
about 9 months to a year and a half, as I said before.
We've invited you along here on a particular day, Halloween, and you've explained why it's significant. But are there any special spells, perhaps, for Halloween itself that you could give us before you go?
A lot of folklore spells and things that people used to do, probably still do on Halloween. One of them, they're mostly of divination, I would say. But one of them, you take a candle, and of course this is the only light in the room. You go alone to a mirror, eat an apple before it while combing your hair, and the face of your future husband is set to appear in the glass peeping over your shoulder.
That's a nice one.
Another one is that girls who are anxious to know the name of their future husbands would place 2 nuts in the fire, side by side, giving them names. Now, if the fire causes the nuts to burst and fly apart, the sign was bad. But if they burned together, the omen was very good. And yet another one was, there was 3 dishes. You put clean water in one, dirty water in another, and leave the third one empty. Then you blindfold the person and lead them to the dishes. If their left hand touches the clean water, they will come into matrimony and purity. If into the dirty water, the person would marry a widow. If in the empty dish, no marriage at all. And those are 3 of the quite interesting ones, I think.
That's a nice way to leave it. Pat Crowther, thanks very much for joining us. I'm afraid time's run out for you.
Yes.
Perhaps we'll see you again, and certainly people in Whitby will see you.
I hope so. I've enjoyed myself very much today, and you've all been very friendly.
Good. Well, I'm glad you came along. Thanks to you.